Good morning, everybody. Today's rant is on the state of New Jersey and gambling. Now, about 35, 40 years ago, when gambling came to New Jersey rivaled Las Vegas. It was only second to Vegas, and casinos sprang up like mushrooms. But over the years, of course, the neighbors don't think much of leaving their money here when they could leave it in their own neighborhood. So more and more casinos sprang up in Connecticut, the Indian casinos, and in New York, and in Pennsylvania. So about 5 years ago, they started in Delaware and Pennsylvania, and in that short a time, their revenues now in Pennsylvania exceed those for all the gambling in the state of New Jersey. Now this is remarkable, but a vast majority, apparently, of the people coming down were coming down from Philly and taking the train. You can get on the train in Philly, and it's a high speed rail, and be in Atlantic City in no time, and be in the comfort of a nice rail car as opposed to having to drive down 40 or 322 or one of those congested highways. Now, what happens is that also a lot of the big rollers, the Chinese are massive gamblers. When Macau opened up, now Macau last year, a couple of years ago, did half of what Vegas did. Then it did one and a half of what Vegas did, and last year it did 4 times as much as Vegas did. Macau is the fastest growing gambling community in the world because the Chinese now have money, and the Chinese have always loved to gamble. Besides that, now Singapore is opening gambling, Dubai's opening gambling, and other what they would term Asian markets, and they're capitalizing on the big time gambler, whereas New Jersey and Pennsylvania capitalizes on the person that comes in, plays the slot machines or something like this. Probably 20% used to be big time gamblers, whereas in Macau it's probably 80 or 90% are big time gamblers. But what's the state do? All right, there was a new casino recently opened called the Reval. Now this was a building that was probably the superstructure was finished, but that's about all. And they came in, it was supposedly a $2.4 billion building. The state gives them over 10 years, $263 million tax break to encourage them to come in and open up. Now, meanwhile, you have the Borgata, Harris, uh, Golden Nugget, and everybody else that's barely scraping by in Caesars, uh, Trump. We might mention Trump later, but not right now. Casinos that are just barely scraping by in New Jersey, and in a short time they'll probably be a lot of them will be losing money. So why would you give a tax break to a new casino opening up when all it can do is suck money away from those that are struggling already and that have a history of being here and creating jobs? Not high paying jobs, but an awful lot of jobs, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 40,000 jobs altogether or more. Last year there was around 14,000 casino jobs were laid off. So why give these people a tax break? Well, they come in and buy the building, $2.4 billion building. They they get it for 1.4 billion because they're, besides getting the tax breaks, they get it on a sale because the people were, they were bankrupt that originally started to build the building. So now they're getting a building, a 2.4 billion dollar building for 1.4 billion. Well, I happen to know someone that's in, like, we'll say, middle management there, and they say the master plan was, well, aside from that, they owe the state $50 million in back taxes. They haven't paid for hardly any labor cost or anything as far as the as people that are coming in, the construction people. They owe hundreds of millions of dollars to. Why anybody would ever do a construction job for a casino? They just have to be out of their mind. Hardly ever get 100% of what they're owed, and often get nothing of what they're owed. But the casino come in with the idea. And I'm telling you, this is from a guy that in middle management there, that they were going to declare bankruptcy and write off not only the debt, uh, extra debt from the Reval, but from other of their holdings around the country. So they accumulated $1 billion in debt. They declare bankruptcy. The $1 billion is wiped out. The the shareholders' money is wiped out. The bondholders' money is wiped out. And who knows where the state of New Jersey gets their money. Now, aside from that, they end up with getting a $2.4 billion uh, casino and building and convention center, which they're specialized in conventions. They get it for $400 million. Taxpayers get screwed. The bondholders get screwed. The shareholders get screwed. And top management walks away saying, "Look, I saved us $2 billion, $2,000 million of debt they were able to dump on this purchase, and now they have 400 million invested, and of course, uh, how they can fail, they can't hardly fail to make money, but they're still not paying their full share of taxes to the state of New Jersey, which, by the way, as I said, gave them a $263 million tax break for over a 10-year period. This is just unconscionable. You know, the cahoots that go on between these state officials and these kind of people that come in knowing that they're going to declare bankruptcy, and that was the whole idea behind the whole purchase. So this is just, as I said, unconscionable, but everyday politics in the state of New Jersey. Now add to that that yesterday or the day before they legalized internet gambling in the state of New Jersey. Now, talk about unconscionable. What you end up with internet gambling is not the high rollers and all those. They're already being comped up the ass and gone down there and eating and sleeping and everything else for nothing. But you end up with poor people, people that take their money and put it, charge these things to credit cards and get in a poker game thinking they're big poker players, or just like to gamble, and now they can gamble at home. They may not have even had the money to get down to Atlantic City or to go to one of the Philadelphia casinos, but they can sit in their own homes now and be robbed blind because the state of New Jersey needs a few extra dollars, and they're willing to let the poorest of the poor go in there and gamble and run up debt. This is a disaster for the community, I feel, and I think that there shouldn't be internet gambling available because, as I said, it's going to be marked up on people's credit cards, and these poor people are going to have to pay those credit cards off, and they're already in bad shape. 14,000 jobs have been lost in our community in South Jersey here because the gambling is so bad. Well, that's that's not going to help those people. We have maybe 20% or more unemployment in our county, and what happens every time a contract comes up down there? That people get paid less, they get less benefits and everything else. This this gambling, they were supposed to pull Atlantic City up out of the gutter that they fell into. Uh, and what's it done? You get half a block off of the boardwalk, and you're taking your life in your hands. So this has never benefited Atlantic City. It's benefited the people like Trump. Trump come in, built 3 casinos, declared bankruptcy. All his shareholders and stockholders and bondholders lost money, lost all their money, and he retained ownership. And then he comes back and declares a second bankruptcy. This guy is one of the biggest crooks in this country. And when people do, when he dies, or when somebody has the balls to do a total expose on him, you'll find out that this is one of the slime balls in American economics. And we don't even know if he's worth anything. Elliot Spitzer did a job on him on a giant building they're building in Chicago, $776 million, and he found out that Trump's total equity in the building was under $2 million. Trump has his name on the building because they think that's a big draw, and he was required to invest 40 million of his own dollars. Well, the building, it didn't go bust. They're still building it, but it's turned out to be a big money loser. So what's Trump do? He has a lawyer go represent him and go to court and say that the economic collapse in 2008 was an act of God and that he shouldn't be required even to put his $40 million in. This guy is one of the low lives in the economic system. Now, he had lent his name, he licenses his name out to any fucking thing, le- licensed his name out to, in Tampa, to a high-rise project about around the same time, 2007, 2008, and it went bust. But people had invested $60 million in a building that never was built, but he got paid for his licensing fees. People thought that he actually had an interest in the building. When he was interviewed about that, he said, well, he said, well, they're lucky we didn't build it or they lost a lot more money. Now, why that the person that interviewed him let him get away with that? Why they didn't just stop the interview? Why they didn't get up and leave the stage, not wanting to be in the presence of such a scumbag, is beyond me. But Donald Trump is one of the true bottom feeders. Now he has a large old rail terminal that he owns in New York City, and he boasts it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, the city wants him to spend 150 million to fix it, to fix up all the environmental problems with it, and he probably doesn't have the money for that. But that's just the tip of the iceberg with that crook. So the rant here is over. What I want to say is that I think it's really bad news that they passed the internet gambling in New Jersey because it'll bring in some revenue, but it's taking the revenue from all the wrong people.